Don't want to interview me now, and I bet that's exactly what you're doing. Oh.
Okay, Gene, tell me about this broken back thing you did. Tell me about your days of the roller derby.
Oh, listen to this.
Let me adjust this. Oh, there's that wind. Didn't want that wind. Okay.
Well, let's see where my story, where I ended it. I had the first of my 6 children. That was Johnny Joe. And when he was about, I lived with Joe's mother for 6 months, and we were getting mighty poor, so we figured, and it was tough being separated from him for so many weeks and months at a time. So we decided that I was going to go with him, which I did. And we took the baby's crib and the buggy and everything else that we needed. And then we were, wherever we were traveling to, can't recall at the moment, decided that I should go back skating because we needed money, always needed money. We never had enough money. So it took me about 3 months to get back into shape, my muscles and everything in the skating, and I was just back to where I felt like I was my old self again. And I was leading the pack and horsing around, and I slipped and fell on my butt, and all these girl skaters on my team and the opposite team fell on top of me and pushed me down. Oh my God, the pain was terrible, absolutely terrible. I screamed and screamed and screamed, and the nurse and the masseur all came running, carried me down to, we were down in a medical room, we called it, in the God, I want to say casino, in the building where we skated, and they laid me down on and they had put a long robe on me, and it had a zipper that came all the way up from my ankles all the way up to my chin, and lying on this the gurney, the only way I could get any relief from this terrible pain was to double up my fist and put it behind my back, right in the small of my back, and then I got relief. And my poor husband leaned over me and he says, "You're getting to be an awful sissy." And the next day he came to the hospital and he apologized for that, which is neither here nor there, I guess. But they discovered that I had fractured 2 vertebrae and crushed 3 of them right in the small of my back. So now I'm in a bed that was humped over in the middle like this. They kept me there 16 days and I couldn't eat. And when I did eat, I would throw it right back up. So the doctor was a Chinese woman doctor, Dr. Chung. I'll never forget her. And she told the nurses, she hollered at him, she says, "Crank this bed down a little bit flatter so this girl can keep her food down." Oh, what a wonderful relief to be able to hold a meal down. So let's see, after 16 days, oh yes, and then there was a male doctor in the hospital who looked in on me and was checking me all the time. And he said, "Mrs. Nigra, you must not become pregnant." Which of course was hilarious. No, why did I say that? It wasn't hilarious. It was important that I not become pregnant because they put me, we went down to the room wherever it is that they make the casts, that put the casts on people's legs and arms and whatever. And they put a belt, like even further than these 2 poles are apart, and laid me on that. First they pulled on what looked like an undershirt, a cotton undershirt. They pulled that on over me, and then they started wrapping all this wet plaster cast around me. I don't know how they did it, but they left the hole in the cast right here so my stomach could expand as I ate, whatever. And after 16 days, I got up and walked out of the hospital. My sister had come in the morning that I fell, had come in to San Francisco to babysit for me while I was back skating. Well, that was the end of my skating days because I think Leo Seltzer decided that I was a hazard, or what do you call it?
High risk.
Huh?
You're a high risk,
Yeah,
skater.
skater, because I had so many problems, so much happened to me where I was injured. So that's about all I can think of.
Okay, hang on. Okay, what was that short little anecdote you wanted to tell me?
Well, let me tell you first, I don't think you understand or realize what this cast was like. The darn thing weighed 15 pounds when it did come out, but it was in such a fashion that it came under the armpits like this and up here so that you couldn't, if I bent too much, I would hit my throat here, came over here, all the way down here, and I could not bend any further than this. This is all I could do. And if I was riding in a car and we hit a bump and that thing came up and hit me in the throat, good God, it was awful. Now this went on for 6 months, you realize. Well, I was going to tell you something funny before.
Go ahead.
People wanted to know from me, how do you have sex? And especially when you can't bend, can't do anything to move around much. And the baby, of course, the baby by this time was 10 months old, 10 or 11 months old. Yeah. And of course I could hold him all right, but I had him up here and he had this hard thing against him and it smashed me flat here and I was pretty well built before that happened. But anyway.
Here he comes.
I think that's enough for me.
What's the phone for? Expecting a call?
Is this trip necessary?
Have a sit down. Sure. No, I'm having fun.
He's going to make a couple of goofballs out of us.
Oh, I am not.
Of course, you realize we don't look anything like we did 60 years ago.
Does anybody?
No.
You want something to drink, Mom?
No, thank you. He mentioned this today, and I said, no, I don't want to do that.
You did too? Then you said, oh, I suppose I could. Well, for the record, Dad, I want to get the record straight. For the record, I want to get the record straight. I want to know how you got in the Derby. I thought you formed a street hockey team in North Chicago. Is that correct? And what street hockey?
Not street hockey.
Well, what'd you do?
Played in regular rinks. Regular roller rink. We had a hockey team.
That's where you learned to skate?
No. No, I did a lot of rink skating in Chicago.
No, you
A lot of
skated in
years.
the street. You skated in the street with your... I beg your pardon.
I did not skate in the street with whoever you're trying to tell me I skated with.
Yeah, I didn't even know you.
No, I skated in the rinks around Chicago. Roller skating, it was a big thing in Chicago. Roller skating, that's what it is.
So the circus came to town and you joined?
No, not really. No, in regards to the hockey team, we had a hockey team. Played regular hockey, regular, and I don't think we got anywhere with it. I don't remember whether there had to have been other teams. We probably played, but I don't remember that much about it.
So how'd you get in the
To
Derby?
get in the roller derby, this friend of mine who lived on the block from me said that he had heard or seen an ad in the paper about skaters being needed for a race sometime. So he says, what do you say we go down and try for it? I said, okay. So, the instructions were to meet at the Coliseum in Chicago, and we went there, and they were looking for skaters to start what they called a derby.
And
Now we kept, I don't remember how long it took, but it was several days, maybe weeks, where we trained. They had a bank track built right in the building there, and we trained there. And lunchtime, they took us to a restaurant and fed us, and we skated more. And I don't remember just how long the period was, but at the end of the period, or close to the end of the period, they started picking individual skaters for this race that they're trying to promote. And luckily, I was one of the person who was picked. After that session, I think they got the race going in the Coliseum, and they called it the National Roller Derby. And that's how it started, and that's how I got into it.
Was she there? Do you remember her?
No.
You wasn't there that first time?
Yeah, of course I remember that.
Not the first race.
No, we all knew each other because we were right there in the building. We skated in the building, and we stayed in the building, we ate in the building, and we slept there. Personally, no, we weren't personal friends, but we all knew each other.
Did you know it was going to go on the road? Did you know you were to travel?
Probably.
You were ready for that?
I think so.
So what's one of your a fond memory? You have a fond memory of it?
About the whole...
Yeah.
There's a lot of memories. One particular, I couldn't pick one out.
But the traveling, you enjoyed the traveling.
Oh yeah, something that in my lifetime I had never done, and it was a new experience. I was kind of looking forward to it.
So how did you get together with her?
I don't remember.
Sure you do. You came down to Louisville or St. Louis, wherever we were at the time, and told me I was going to be your partner.
I did.
Yep.
Oh, you got me. I don't remember that.
And I was happy because he was a good skater.
So how come he could? How was he able to decide who his partner would be?
He didn't decide. The company decided for him. Sent him there to tell me that he was going to be my partner.
Well, don't remember
I
that.
do. It was in Louisville, I think. But I don't.
We weren't partners till...
No, way up in 36.
We weren't
Yeah.
designated as partners then in those early days.
Do you,
I think they wanted us to be show people,
no.
which I was.
No.
Big ham.
No, that wasn't the case of being show people. I started to say we were just a bunch of young kids. I was not a kid. I was 25 years old, but and then probably no. I still don't want to say that we were a bunch of kids because in that first race there were older people, older than me. In fact, there were two guys that were in their 40s. Three, in fact.
Joe Laurie, Joey Ray,
They were
Joe Cleats.
They were amateur skaters in Chicago. They did a lot of flat track racing. The others, there may have been a small majority of young people that were picked for that very first race. Damn it.
You all right?
I do, yeah.
It's all part of the show.
Oh, yeah, part of the show. Well, okay.
What did he do? Did he raise his hand up?
Oh, I didn't touch it. He was trying to get me for sure. Are we still on the air?
No, we're still on. So I can figure this out.
I don't think we're very interesting.
You know. Actually, that's not my camera.
I think it should stay there now, though. Oh no, it's up. It's still with me. That'll be our bloopers, I guess, huh? Okay, I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Mom's told me that she remembers the fatal bus crash. I was wanting to know where you were when that happened.
Same place she was.
You got was that your very first city after Chicago, St. Louis?
No.
You'd already been doing this a while.
Yes.
What do you remember about it?
The what?
The bus crash.
Nothing.
Now
We
you
were
were
skating and we were told it's the bus crash. I don't remember anything about it.
no.
Not a thing.
How about you? No.
Well, I thought I've told you in my little biography that I got up very early that morning because the bus was supposed to take off. They were leaving from there to go to Cincinnati. And there was a feeling, an oppressive feeling in the air. You just felt like something was going to happen. And I was kind of walking around, just moseying around, just talking to different skaters. And I went into the office, and our nurse, Carolyn Barton, was sitting there at the desk. And I said, ask whatever I asked her, and she said, well, I'll tell you. When that bus blows up, I want to see which one of us is going to go the highest, me or Ted Mullins. And he was her fiancé. And even Jock McGeing, our masseur, said there is an awful foreboding feeling in the air. You just felt it. And then I think I told you too about Dick Thomas, who was the driver. He had just married just a few days before, and his bride was sitting up in bed screaming because she didn't want to go. She didn't want to go on that bus. But her husband was driving. They were supposed to skate in Cincinnati, and so she backed off, and they went.
How come you guys didn't have to travel by the bus anymore?
What do you mean?
How come you weren't traveling by bus?
They were making up another unit.
Yeah,
We were going to stay where we were. They were going to start another race. That's what that was all about.
Yeah.
So they were just taking excess skaters.
Yeah, I don't remember where they got all the skaters.
Oh, you picked them up. They picked them up anywhere and everywhere. There was no problem, no difficulty at all to get them.
But everybody in the bus was recognized skaters. They were already in the game,
Yeah.
and they were still traveling by bus. But you guys weren't traveling by bus anymore.
No.
Sometimes.
That-
that's
not
right.
particular
That's right.
time,
we
no.
didn't have our own cars.
Right.
We traveled by bus.
Because we didn't have our own cars. They supplied the transportation for us.
How'd they end up making you? You used to do the books, didn't you?
You know, I was in charge of a unit.
What does that mean, in charge of a unit?
There were 3 different units at one time. A unit was 2 teams that traveled all over the United States, different parts of the country. I forget how they classified them. The Eastern unit, the Western unit, the Southern unit, whatever. And I took care of the money part of the unit that I was on. I was also a skater. I was skating all the time. But the money situation is the skaters got a certain percentage of the gate. Every night they received a certain percentage of the gate, whatever it was. And I represented the skaters in the whole that unit in regards to taking care of the money and keeping booked on how much was being put in. And of course, that money then was used for prize money and to pay individual skaters. You better stop that right now.
Why?
Because I got to say something.
All right.
And I don't-
Well, here's something. You told me about skating, but you've never talked about. I want to know, how you hooked up with her. You don't. I mean, you married her. You must remember something about her.
We used
When did we start going together?
in Duluth.
No, before that. We started going together.
Gene,
We
tell me
just-
about
we went everywhere. We were like buddies.
the whole group, or you two?
Just us two.
Well,
And then we'd go down to Lake Superior, and we had to go through a cavernous.
I don't remember any of that.
Well,
What do you remember? Was she a great skater?
Yeah, she was a great skater. But when we first met, when we first started going together, I don't remember that. And it was before Duluth.
You sure about that?
Sure. I can remember in Cincinnati, in the hallway.
That was after I was trying to get away from fussing.
Well, that was before Duluth, though.
So what happened in the hallway? I'm not
Oh,
recording
no,
yet.
no. We'd meet in the hallway. But I don't remember exactly when we first started going together.
Oh boy,
don't
I ought to
remember.
be insulted.
Why?
Because she remembers.
Sure I do.
When? When did we
We
first
were
start?
in Duluth, and
That was the first
and
time?
I used to come barreling back when you came in late for some reason. You'd been out, and I'd come in the back and sit there while you ate, because I didn't want you to be alone. And then this one night we're coming in from somewhere to get ready to skate, and he had his arms full of his uniform and his jacket, everything. And we just took a look at each other, and all of a sudden I went like this, and he just dropped all the clothes down on the dirty old floor and grabbed me and kissed me. And then I was so shocked that I just ran back to our quarters.
You don't have a picture of that at all, huh?
No, he doesn't.
Well, which one? What do you remember? What's first?
I don't remember when we first got to going together. I don't remember.
You remember asking her to marry you?
That was probably in St. Louis. I don't remember. Before that, though.
He wrote me a note and handed it to me as I'm going around the track. And it says, "Will you marry me?" And I wrote back and I said, "No, that's a big step, and I'm young, I do not want to be married to anybody."
So how did he take that no?
He just kept pursuing. Wore me down. See, if a woman just knew how men are, it wouldn't be any problem at all to hook them. All you got to do is run away from them.
Yeah, I guess.
There was an article in the paper one time. George Washington Crane was like a psychologist and a doctor and everything, and he said, "Look at the archer. Watch his bow. With one hand he pulls it away, and with the other one he lets it go."
What's that got to do?
That's how you lead a man on.
Shooting with an arrow, huh?
Cupid did that too. Come on, Joel, isn't that enough?
No. You're just starting to loosen up, which is good. I want to know about. I've heard different things about how fast, actually. You've always been honest. How fast do you think the top speeds of the skating was? Did they have any way to record that?
Didn't you get all those records
records.
out of my stuff?
It didn't list speeds.
They had speed.
Yeah.
They had time trials, speed trials. Sure.
What kind of speed? Not time, speed.
I don't know. You'd have to figure it out.
Oh yeah.
If we're skating 10 laps to a mile, if she did a mile in 2 minutes and 47 seconds, figure it out. I don't know how fast we're going.
Well, the paper said
I don't know.
30, 40, 45
That's
miles an
possible.
hour.
That's
Possible.
possible.
That's fast.
It would be hard to determine something like
Yeah.
that because the big track, the first track was a big track, and you could get up a lot of speed on that straightaway before
Right.
you hit the turn. Well, then naturally, then you kind of slow down.
Mm-hmm.
But there'll be no way of telling exactly what the speed was. You could guess at it, but
What did you think of when you'd have to skate in the streets? When they would have you do those?
we didn't like it.
Why not?
That's rough.
Our skating, all kinds of weather. Well, we went out there in storms and like that. Hot weather, whatever. And,
Would that be going in almost every city you'd go to?
not necessarily, no.
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 But you did it a lot, it sounds like, if you were in any
Well, no,
weather
I
conditions.
I can remember San Francisco. I can remember Florida. You remember any of them?
No, just Market Street in San Francisco, which I was already 7 months pregnant, so I didn't get in on that one.
We skated from the auditorium to the docks and over to they had a fair in those days, that year, on, what was that island? On an island, Treasure Island, whatever they called it.
You were in it for almost 7 years, Dad.
6
If 6 years, were you? It was time to settle down and have a family. But did you ever think that you would have been doing that for a full time, the rest of your life?
Never thought about it.
Never thought about it.
I had no.
You weren't tired of it, the traveling and all
I
that.
don't.
How about you, Mom?
I don't.
No, I probably would have stayed in it till I killed myself. Because I had such a hard time finding a job. I couldn't find one, period.
I don't know what you're figuring I'm doing with this, but I wouldn't want you to put it in whatever you're making up.
I don't know what you mean. I'm just getting ideas.
Well, now, you're picturing me coughing that. I
Oh.
wouldn't want that on film.
Don't worry about that.
Well,
You're camera
well,
shy
there's a lot of
today.
things I can't remember.
Yeah.
After
Well,
all, that was 50 years ago or more. Hardly remember anything like that.
you usually seem to remember it pretty good.
The street things were, like I say, Florida and San Francisco. I don't remember any other. Do you? No. It was all for publicity. It was a new thing, a new sport. And they were trying to make it something big, but and they were on the way until the final end, where they made a shambles out of it.
What year is that about?
In the 50s?
I don't know.
It was booming all through the 40s?
Oh, yeah.
All through the 40s it was?
Probably and 50s, too.
But they reached a peak where they were on television. Races in Madison Square Garden, that's a big thing. You know, if you were in Madison Square Garden, you were something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know where the downfall was. Well, actually, when the promoter Leo Seltzer, I don't remember why he got out of it, and why Jerry Seltzer, his son, took it over.
You know, Gene?
I don't know.
Nobody ever, they never told us.
I don't even remember what it was. But he got out of it. Then they started,
We made him a millionaire.
well, I don't know.
Come on.
Where'd he live after Chicago?
Illinois.
Did you ever go there?
Did we?
Yeah.
No. Why didn't we?
Huh?
No.
He was in Seattle, Washington, but I was at home about to give birth to my first child.
No, we didn't stick there. His family was there. He had a wife there.
Come on, get off it.
Oh, well, let's relax.
No, no. What time is it? I got a,
It's 8 o'clock.
yeah, I got a movie to watch.
What movie?
Movie on.
Come on, you got all the dope.
No, just relax a minute. Well,
I am very uncomfortable with this.
Yeah.
I'm not enjoying it.
okay. Well, we'll stop it. You know, just get some ideas from you, and then maybe I could write something out of it, and then might make sense.
I don't know, like what?
Well, let's see. What did you tell me tonight that I didn't know before? I didn't know that you didn't remember meeting her, or you know,
Yeah.
I didn't know how you.
We all met. We all knew each other. We were a big family, but you can't put that in there.
What?
We were a family, but we were skating against each other. How are you going to explain that? You can't. No, you can't do that.
Well, I think people realized that it was, you know,
No, they couldn't realize.
yeah.
No.
So back then, they really thought you guys were at each other's throats.
Well, of course.
Well, I mean, I don't think people know those. I don't think people think that about today's sports.
There is nothing like that in today's sport.
What about
Who
hockey?
lives together in today's sport?
Huh?
Who lives together? The only time that happens is in the Olympics.
Right.
But they're competing against somebody else. But the story can't be told because it was a fake. It can't be told.
I don't think people would. I think people today are used to
Fakes.
the wrestling and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. I don't think they'd
Well,
be
no.
shocked by that.
So we told them in the article, we explained to them in the article that in our day, we were a legitimate race. We were something legitimate.
Yeah.
But then I said in that article the fact that they shamed it. I forget just how I worded it, but you can't tell the story. You can't tell the true story. There's no way.
What do you think, Gene? You think people would be shocked if they knew that everybody was pals and were just out there putting on a show?
No. I think
What
Back
I'm,
then
what I'm,
I could
what
see-
I'm getting is you can't put that in a story. You can't do it
Why it would disgrace?
because you know the truth and you can't tell the truth.
I think everybody knows that.
Joe, there's no way that I would allow you to print any of that.
All right.
You can't do it. No.
Okay.
No.
A lot of.
I don't doubt that people would. They probably thought that it wasn't on the out. But then again, and I often I remarked, talked to different people, and I made the remark that I said we must have been pretty good actors, although we weren't actors. I mean, we must have been pretty good because incidents where we were told. What was it? Are we still on that?
No.
I think it was in California, Hollywood, the first race there. The actors themselves, the big wheels in the movie industry, they brought them up there. They sat them in box seats there watching them. And we were told by Leo and whoever else, those people, they said, is that true? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Is that for real? So that's why when I made the statement several times, we must have been pretty good.
Yeah.
If we were able to put on something where people in the show business didn't know whether we were acting or not.
Right.
And I can't imagine. I would have liked to have a video of the end of that race because that's when I told you many times that I was always the guy that chased Wes Harrison at the end of the race. I'm busting my ass off there trying to catch him, but I never catch him, and he wins the race. So this particular time, I don't know why they decided it, but that made me so happy. Not at that time, but afterwards. Even though Wes and I, we were good friends and all that, but it's just the fact that all those years, I chased and never caught. But well, I told you how I went out.
Yeah. No.
They had me being knocked off into the middle of the track somewhere. Then I hit the water cooler, and the water cooler, that big bottle of water came down, hit me on the head, and I had the blood pill in my mouth, and they carried me out. And he won the race.
That happened a lot.
No,
Oh, just this one.
no. But like I said, inwardly, I was happy that it happened.
Yeah.
One time, I didn't have to be chasing that Wes Harrison.
fair-haired boy.
But so, what these people on the audience, I don't know what they thought about whether it looked authentic or not. I don't know whether it looked good or not.
I think back then they did. They believed, you were your enemies and that.
Well, they were for sure. I told you they asked.
yeah.
And in New York, all these big writers sitting up there. And I don't remember what their comments were, but and they were brought down. All these big people, they were brought down for publicity purposes. And, I have no way of knowing how they felt about it. I know one thing: the lady that I had the affair with, she thought it was real.
Yeah.
Whether Runyon thought it was real, I don't know, because I was told her that it was Rasputin or somebody came down and gave me a little handkerchief. I said, what's that for? The police want you to wear for good luck. Tied around my wrist. And then when I'd fall, I could see her cover her head. So, I mean, to her it was real.
Right.
I don't know about the others.
Sure.
I think I used to go out of my way to fall right in front of her. But Now, see, that stuff you can't tell.
No, I know you can't.
You
No,
can't
I
tell
understand that.
You can no way tell the story of us.
Right.
No way you can do it. You can't do it. All you can do is take what's on that wall there and that clipping. That's the story.
That's the story.
It doesn't go any farther than that because it can't go.
Right.
I would feel so terrible bad
Oh, no, I know.
if there's something like that came out.
Right.
For me to expose something like that. Even
Well, it
though,
sounds like you guys all, were just talking to the other skaters. Everybody was really tight knit. You could tell you guys were close. I mean, when I talked to those other skaters, there was, just the way they talk about Leo. If they felt anything negative or bad about him, they certainly weren't going to tell.
there's some guys that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're probably getting. There was only not too many. Did you know very many that really didn't like Leo? I think he was a like. Well, even I had my doubts at one time because, the position I had, I was called supervisor of the unit, and we were in Florida. And he took me out to breakfast one morning, and he said, "I'm going to start up another unit. I want you to be a supervisor." And he actually told me that I was going to be a company man. I was going to be for the company, not for the skaters.
Gotta be a loner.
Yeah. But in the back of my mind, I wasn't built that way.
Yeah.
I tried to organize the skaters. I was unionized.
Really?
It didn't work out.
And they all agreed with him when it came right down to it. They all left him flat.
So you were going to try and start a union where you got
No,
benefits?
We were going to try to
Demand more money.
demand more money, and as a unit, as a body. But they wouldn't stick together.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I say, he took me to breakfast and said that he was going to make me supervisor of that unit, that new unit. I think I was getting $25 a week more for it. Yeah.
One thing is, like, you sounded like you were debating over there whether you actually had sponsors that gave $25 a week. Did they really
No,
do
we
that?
knew that. We knew we were getting that.
Oh, so your sponsors did.
But that didn't last all the time. We weren't getting that money all the time, were we?
Yeah, I don't know when it stopped.
We were sponsored all the time, every time. But I don't remember. I don't remember that.
It all went into a kitty. Like,
Well, no, didn't we get it? Wasn't it handed to us?
I think we got it every week. If the team got $25.
What do you mean? What do you mean it went into a kitty then?
As time went on. What I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I don't remember what hell really went on afterwards. There was a pension fund, or what kind of a thing
There
was
was
that?
supposed to be
We
a
had little
pension
books showing how much money was in it.
I think
Nothing-
somebody went south with
Nothing
that.
ever came of it.
It's nice out, isn't it?
Oh, it's great.
Cooled off good.
But we were all naive, In fact, I'd say the greater percentage of them were young kids. I was one of the older ones. And to me, it was an experience. I never experienced anything like that.
Yeah.
Get away from home and travel all over the country. We were having fun.
It's trying to rain
And
for
we
you,
had-
dude.
I felt,
It's
another
trying to rain
sprinkle.
for you.
We had a few bucks in our pocket.
Yeah.
It wasn't a hell of a lot, but we
Well,
were able to buy clothes and everything.
in a couple of years, I was able to save $2,000.
All roller
But that
derby
was
money.
a penny pincher.
Roller derby money.
We weren't getting that much money. I told you, $98 what I got for 49 days.
Yeah.
The most I ever got, I think, was California and
New York, we got
No.
$300 in New York. We got
Well,
$300 in Indianapolis, and that
boy.
was top money.
I don't remember us getting that much
I do,
money.
I do, I do, I do.
Well, then you were getting more than I was. I don't
No, I
believe
doubt that. Oh, God.
Yeah, she
I
rolled.
tried to say the most that I can faintly remember, and I think it was in California, and that I'm trying to say wherever it was, and that included my $25 a week extra. was about $325, I think, one pay for one race. And I just faintly remember that.
Yeah.
I don't remember what she's saying about several races where we got $300.
Did
two or
you?
three
Did it
times.
matter how long you were in a city? I mean, like some
Depended
places.
on what kind of a contract they got with the city.
I mean, some
Okay.
cities you were 2 weeks. Some cities you were 3 weeks.
Something like
I guess. I don't know.
that. That would the.
So you didn't get paid by the week, or did you get paid by the city?
Got
Yeah,
paid
the
at the
race.
end of the race.
Right. So
And-
you. Yeah.
They had
And
all
you-
the names up there and started out $300
Well,
down.
Because if you
what
didn't.
what you got depending on we were top skaters. Top skaters got the most money,
Right.
and it depended on what kind of a draw you were for the roller derby.
How did they? How did they know how you were drawn? They could just tell.
How they know? When
Yeah.
I get out on the track, they'd boo me. Well, they knew that I was a drawing card.
Did that bother you being booed?
No, I don't think so. I used to hate those. I used to go out in the audience. They'd take pictures of us, then they'd cut them out on plywood. We used to have one of those.
I have one.
You have one?
Yeah.
We have to go out in the audience and sell them damn things. Can you imagine me going out there? The people don't like me. I'm going out there trying to sell myself.
That would be tough.
But
It was.
we had our following. A lot of people. I don't know whether it would be half and half, I don't know whether it would be that much of a majority. Do you think?
I don't know.
Between us and the so-called white shirts?
Well, we weren't even that way in the first few races.
Well, no.
We didn't become teams till 36.
And we didn't, we weren't in too much of the, in the early days there was not a lot of hokum, hardly any of it, in fact,
Really.
really. But still it wasn't a legitimate thing. They tried to do it one time in Louisville, Kentucky, that Paulie Mullane, he was a rough little bastard. He put me in the rail, and I used to have a scar on my cheek where I got cut. And he was trying to make it legitimate. No way that he could do it. In fact, then of course Rosasco and I forget, we always buddied up together. And when they saw what Mullane was trying to do, they put him to rest.
He was trying to. Was he a black shirt?
No, in those days it wasn't that. It was still, I don't think it was teams then. No, I think it was still
Yeah.
man,
Right.
man and woman.
Against everybody else. That didn't really last all that long.
But we kind of clicked together. Like I say, Rosasco and I and one other guy. We stuck together. We worked against the rest of us.
And that was okay with the coaches as long as you were. I mean, or were they telling you how to do things?
No. Well, there wasn't too much being told. They contained the race. They regulated so that the people in the audience, when the score showed up there, they made sure that it was what they wanted the end results to be. So they would tell you when to go out on a jam and when you were going to win or not, when you were going to lose.
Right.
Because they had to make sure the points were being kept. See, they let it get away from that very first race where this young couple, they won the race, they weren't supposed to win it.
Oh yeah.
But they got such a lead, they got him in such a damn lead ahead of everybody, they couldn't backtrack. They couldn't catch up to him. They won the race. But that didn't happen again after that. They goofed him afterwards. But they had what they called a sheet. Supposedly every day before the race. I don't remember how could they have a full sheet though for the whole night skating day? I don't remember that. Do you?
What's the sheet?
What was supposed to happen that night?
Oh,
Who was supposed to go out on jams?
really?
Who was
Someone
supposed
who wrote that out?
Coaches.
Coaches and
Really?
whatever, maybe
Referees.
management. I forget. I don't remember a lot of that stuff.
Well, I never heard of that.
It's not the publication.
No, I know, but I mean, never heard that. They kind of wrote a show out, kind of then.
The plan for the night. That's done in wrestling. One particular time. What was it?
Bronco Nagurski?
Where was it? Detroit or where?
What?
What? The wrestlers, the professional wrestlers were training in one part of the building where we were skating. So we go out there and watch them. And they're planning the night's event. And we could see what they were doing. So, yeah, he's going to throw this guy on the floor, blah, blah, blah. That's the way it was going to be that night. It was all planned. So, in a way, our race was all planned for the night.
Not in the early days, though.
Huh?
Not in the early days.
No.
No.
Oh, they were dropping
No,
out like flies.
that first race, my sponsor was a jeweler, put up a wristwatch for me. I never did get it.
You work like hell.
Oh, I finally got it.
Yeah.
They gave it to me. But no, you break out in a jam and you didn't catch it.
Yeah.
If you weren't good enough to catch it, you didn't get it. I wonder how that looked in those days.
Philco Radio.
When the start of a jam, somebody would break out.
How'd you know when to start? Did the music change or did the skater
Music change, yeah.
music change? And that
I
was it?
forget just what, there was a signal. You're just skating around, and then there was a signal. Do you remember how?
Stan Allen used to run his hand through his hair like that. And
Really?
Look at you, so you know.
Well, to start a
You
jam.
were to start the jam.
Start a jam. And then the music would pick up. But,
And you said, how'd they know when a jam was over? The lead skater?
well, you put your hands in your
On your
head.
head.
So did he have to go at least 2 minutes?
Yeah.
He had to go at least 2 minutes.
No.
Well, how would he? Let's
No,
say.
if you pass the end of the pack for 2 minutes, you want to shut it off, you stop it.
Oh,
Because
the guy that got a point could stop it.
Somebody coming behind you, the opposite team, trying to catch up to you. And you stop it before they could catch you.
And it took probably 2 minutes to, at least 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Well,
catch the
on
back.
that big track, 2 minutes time, I never did catch the end.
Yeah,
And I was a pretty good skater. But
That's another thing. If the pack didn't want you to get it,
uh,
they all skated like hell.
well, that's the way it was in those days. And actually, you might say that was the only time it was really legitimate. Yeah, I don't think they had any control over it. And the fact that you had to, they kept track of how many laps you completed in that evening, because you had to cover a certain amount of miles, otherwise you dropped out of the competition.
What was the story you told me about? You had to leave. You had to turn the lights off in the building, or they had to work.
At the end of the race, after 49 days,
What'd you do?
at the end of the race, I was number 9. I was the last team, and I had to complete my mileage before the race was over. And I had to keep going round and round and round till I completed my mileage, and then the race was over. And of course,
How come you were in last? Sounds like you were dead last.
He was.
Well, wait a minute now. Oh, I was team number 9. I don't remember. I don't know how you would how you explain that. And there's nobody now that can tell you. They're all dead. Bogash wouldn't know because he wasn't in that race. What you're saying, I was number 9 because I was the last one. I don't think. Have you
Well,
got
Johnny
one,
and
have you
I
got
were
one of the
number-
old schedules?
Yeah, there's some in there somewhere. Johnny and I were number 4.
Yeah.
Number 21, and we came in 4th place.
So me being number 9, I don't remember.
Is there one in that envelope in your room?
Could be.
Hang on, let me go get it. See
No,
you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh,
Me
wait a
too.
minute. Let me
Me
just
too.
see if you can recall it. Real
I don't
quick.
think
No.
it's in there, but you can look.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
I gotta pee real quick. Anyway, let's look real quick.
I bet he's been recording that too.
you better not have been.
Well, he could take it out, I guess. But this this is probably the reason we've never ever told our kids anything about it.
There's not
I
no
don't
big
know. I
deal.
don't know where you could say that that I came in ninth.
No, you came in last. You were the last one on the track to finish.
Does that mean anything? Or here's this orange one?
Let me see.
Yeah, this is Florida.
What
Oh,
date
you,
is
you,
that
meant,
there?
you meant from the very first race, huh?
1937, January.
Yeah.
January 18th, 1937.
Got to have something from 1935. I don't know.
Here it is. Wait, does that say 35? Oh, I thought it said first call.
This is
I
December.
know there was only 9 teams left, and I was number 9. I don't know how to explain that. I don't know. I have no way of knowing how to explain that.
Well, my God, we were partners.
Ivy King, I don't know whether she would know.
December 13th of 36, we were partners.
36.
Look at here. I didn't think we got to be partners till we were in Louisville or some damn where.
No, Cincinnati. Well, that's when
What
I
was Cincinnati? This one?
first year.
Oh, okay.
What year?
36.
When was the accident?
In June or July of 36.
When was the what?
Accident.
Oh.
Yeah, we were partners in the.
God, I
Yeah,
don't know
right.
how that happened.
I don't know. We were the first team together. Didn't we? Well, I know we were partners in Duluth. Did we go
Yeah.
from there right to Duluth? I don't remember.
Right from where?
From this Cincinnati.
Oh.
I don't remember where we went from.
I'm surprised how far you had to travel. I guess, I mean, that's quite a distance to travel. There was no cities in between that you'd hit? Cincinnati to Duluth?
If that's what the case was.
Yeah.
But what the hell?
Why wouldn't they have stopped in Chicago on the way through? And
Depending on where they had commitments to put on a derby.
yeah. There's your phone call you've been waiting for.
Right?
Mosquitoes.
Hello? Yes. Jason. Are you Jason? What's your name?
That's Jason.
Where'd you get that laugh? What's on your mind? Yeah. Well, we're outside, and you know what he's doing? He's taping
Well, I
my
was.
wife and I. He's crazy. I like to talk to him here.
Jaybird, what do you know? Okay, that's okay, man. Well, yeah. Now, Breen and Jamie mentioned they may want to go, but they went up to Chicago tonight, and I can't imagine them, getting in late and want to get up. But they may want to. If not, I'll know tonight, and I'll just get on the bus. No big deal. But I'll send you your fishing stuff when I cut it up and find the best of what you did. Okay? All right, man. Well, have a good trip down there. All right, Jake. Bye.
He's got to work tomorrow.
No, he's going to Ohio.
Oh,
One of his buddies.
You taking the boat?
No.
Just gonna drive down there and hang out for a couple of days.
Okay, now.
Go in.
Huh?
You want to go in?
Yeah.
All right, this is setting up for the shot opening of fish